Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Come on in, have a virtual seat at our table. This is going to be a nice, engaging webinar. Guys, have some really amazing information to share with you guys today for the funding opportunity. Guys, come get this government money, okay? This is your chance. So welcome to the webinar today. Just some logistics for today. If you guys have any questions, please enter them in the question and A, because I actually want to talk to you guys in the chat. Let us know where you're from, how you heard about it. Yes, we have the Excel sheet, but I want to talk to you guys today, bring you guys in the room. No, you can't turn your cameras on because then it might make Michael nervous. But no, just put in the chat where you guys are from. Let us know how you guys heard about the webinar. Doctors, professors, students, colleges, tell a friend, phone a friend. We're going to be sending out these webinars after this event so you guys can share them and just ask all the questions you want. So yes, in the chat, let us know where you're from. Welcome to this webinar. And if you guys have any other questions, just let us know. We're here for you. We really want everyone to have as much information as they can for these funding opportunities so you guys can partner with the Navy and do some great work. So Dr. Simpson, please take it away.
Very good. Thank you, Ashley. And thank all of you for being here. I'm Dr. Michael Simpson. I direct education and workforce, and I'm very happy that Ashley set this up, and she's with Naval X. So again, thank you, Ashley, for doing that. We also have Marla Singleton, our communications specialist. She's helping out here, and she has all along. Dr. Yelm is our grant specialist. She's also on this meeting. And we have Bill Ellis, who is one of the people who also works on our grants efforts. And so they are all here, and we will be getting this information to you so that you can make the most of this opportunity. I should also note that I'm very happy to see in the registration list names of people who are longstanding friends, colleagues, and acquaintances, and names of people that I hope will become longstanding friends and acquaintances and colleagues in the future going forth from here. So again, thank you for being here, and we will proceed to the next slide, please, which will be our agenda slide.
Michael, before you get started, just a little bit, maybe you might try to call in because it's like really staticky when you're talking.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
How
or
about,
maybe.
is that any better?
Oh, that's much better.
Is that any better?
Oh, that's much
Okay.
better.
Technological wizardry.
Black
Thank you for
magic.
pointing that out.
Thank you.
How does this sound? This sounds okay then?
You sound like
Okay.
$1 million
So
baby.
again, I was just thanking everybody for being here and definitely wanting to get some information to you so you can make the most of this opportunity. So with that, if we can go to the next slide, which should be the agenda slide. There we go, thank you. And you can see the list of things that we intend to cover in the next hour or so. I do want to point out that questions and answers are going to be at the end. We have gotten questions in already as part of the registration process, but as Ashley pointed out during the introduction, that if questions come up during the presentation, feel free to put them in, and we'll get to those at the end when we get to the other questions that we'll hope be able to answer. So we'll go through this agenda. Some of these items might be different, and certainly at the end, if you have questions about any of these things, but we do want to just get through all the components here so that you have an idea of how best to take advantage of this opportunity.
Okay, so Michael, you're gonna be so mad at me. I
Sound
want to,
again?
yeah, I want to make sure everybody, can get all the information that they need. So, if you can take a moment and look at the microphone and go to switch to phone audio. Oh yes, guys, this definitely recording, so I know it'll come up in the chat. As Dr. Simpson is rejoining, we're gonna get this video out, but we got to make sure it's a good video. So just bear with us. Sorry, Dr. Simpson.
That's okay. I'm trying to see if I can get this to actually switch.
Okay. Yeah, if you just hover over the microphone and then click switch to phone audio, it'll let you call in.
Let's see here.
See, it's because you're so popular. You have so many people coming. There's 84 people coming and trying to take your money. So go ONR's webinar. But yeah,
So
guys. So, oh, go ahead.
we do that. And let me go to switch to phone audio.
Yes.
Let me try that. Make a phone call. Let's see if this improves things.
Okay. And I'm loving all this engagement in the chat. Got professors and students and knock ADs there.
Yeah, I saw that we
Yes,
had,
engineers and scientists. Nerds unite. That's me all day.
yeah, yeah,
I'm an engineer too, and now I do events and talk to all you wonderful people.
yeah, you solve problems, and that's one of the basic things about engineering. Let's see,
Yes.
is this connecting at all? Can you hear me?
Did you dial in from your phone?
Yes. Is that any better?
Okay, if you start talking out here, because it was like a static at the end of your words. Go ahead.
How about now? Is this any better? I hope it is. There's
Yeah.
not too much other magic I know.
Nope. I don't
Okay.
hear it.
All right. Then we'll go with this. Okay, so I'll just go through this agenda that again is going to cover information that will help you get the most out of this opportunity. So if we can go to the next slide, please, which should be about federal grants. And it does review, getting to some real basics here, that a grant is, as it says, the transfer of anything of value from the federal government to a non-federal entity to carry out a public purpose authorized by US law. Of particular importance in this statement is the non-federal entity. So as we talk about this opportunity and who can actually be part of it, non-federal, we can't get money from this particular source into a federal organization. So I wanted to emphasize the non-federal entity part of this idea of a grant. The funding opportunity announcement, such as this FOA, tells the world that this grant is available. So the FOA is out there. Final digits are 004, and that's the opportunity we'll be talking about in this particular webinar. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please, which should be about the funding opportunity announcement. This one in particular, the one that I'll be abbreviating down to calling it just 004. The overview of this is shown right there. It is for an annual funding opportunity for efforts that provide solutions that establish, build, and/or maintain STEM educational pathways of US citizens directly relevant to the needs of the Department of the Navy's current and future workforce. There are a lot of important words all embedded in that one sentence, and it is annual. That's not too big a surprise. Establish, build, and/or maintain STEM educational pathways. So those are all the pathways, all the highways, all the side paths that can lead to people who would be possibly current or future workers for the Department of Navy, solving Navy problems and making Navy discoveries. US citizens are also mentioned in there. The awards here are up to $200,000 per year for up to 3 years, a total value then of $600K. And all programs and efforts should be responsive to the program as described in Section 2A of the funding opportunity announcement. We'll say a few more words about that when we get to the specifics. Eligibility, again, let me point out here, non-federal entities. So academia, nonprofits, and for-profits may apply to this funding opportunity. So if you're in any of those categories, you can do that. White paper submissions are required. It is a two-step process. We'll say a little bit more about that later. White papers are the start. And we are looking at awarding somewhere between 1 and possibly 17 grants in this cycle. Okay, next slide, please. We'll talk about the process of submitting your white paper, and then, if invited, your proposal. The white paper submission, the first step of a two-step process, is to submit your white paper to FedConnect. This is required, it is not an option. That is the way to get officially into our queue of white papers that will be reviewed officially. Upon review and acceptance of the white paper, the accepted white papers will be invited to submit a proposal. So proposal submissions, it says there, are by invitation only, and they are to be submitted to grants.gov. So that's the funding, that's the submission process. In the right there shown graphically, the grants.gov is the grants.gov that is operated by Office of Management and Budget. The dates there are shown. The 28th of May is a Friday. Similarly, the 13th of August is a Friday. That's for invitations for to submit a proposal. The 8th of October, proposals need to be submitted by that Friday, the 8th of October. That's again by invitation only. And the awards, we're looking at making those announcements and making those awards by April 2022. So that's shown graphically in this series of boxes, and that's the submission process. So if we can go to the next slide, please. This is an overview of what's required in the white papers. So again, white papers are the first step in a two-part process. You must submit directly to FedConnect, and we do need you to do that with a cover page that needs to have the correct information in it. With that correct information, we'll get routed to the right place, and we will be able to then officially review the white paper. As for the contents of the white paper, the 4 pages that are required are described here. The technical approach and justification, maximum of 1.5 pages for that. How it's important and relevant to the Navy, Department of Navy, and what you understand is important to Navy in half a page. Naval partnerships that are not required can be described in half a page. Your approach to how you're going to manage your activities, that should be covered in half a page. The kinds of things that you intend to measure to show that things are being evaluated and you're actually accomplishing what you intend to do, metrics of evaluation in half a page. And then a rough order of magnitude on the cost and how you're going to be using the investment by Department of Navy in your particular effort. That's half a page. Criteria listed there. Alignment with DON's mission. And this is important. It needs to show on as specific a basis as you can how what you intend to do is going to align with what DON needs to successfully accomplish its mission. There needs to be scientific and technical merit indicated to, again, satisfy the reviewers that what you want to do is really accomplishable. So scientific technical merit is very important. Viability over the course of the grant funding period and beyond. Again, several ideas rolled into this one little statement. Generally speaking, a particular effort that is valuable is probably not going to be accomplishable, say, in 3 years. What we are looking for here under this criterion is how and what you want to do is your description of how you're going to get this important idea to actually accomplish and succeed. So the viability is a matter of funding, yes, but it is also, in a sense, more than that. And that is how you're going to involve people to actually pull off the thing that you want to do, again, in alignment with DON's mission. So the idea would be that your important project would go not just through the funding period of up to 3 years if you were to get that funding, but beyond that. And how you would do that is part of the creation, the innovation, part of the excitement of what we will be looking for in the white paper and then if invited proposal. And then here's a new criterion that is of equal value to the other 3. The inclusion of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is again equally weighted to the other 3 criteria. And it really is an important criterion because it does indicate that we are seeking the kinds of innovative solutions that perhaps have not necessarily been there in the past, but that we want to emphasize going forward, because there will be differences in education and culture and experience, different parts of, say, the United States, different approaches to thinking about a problem and then solving the problem. That kind of diversity is some of what we're looking for by having this criterion in here of diversity, equity, and inclusion, a criterion that again is of equal value in the evaluation process to the other three criteria. So we'll say some more about diversity, equity, and inclusion a little further on, coming up on slide 9 in particular, and also as a response to one of the questions that came in. Okay, next slide, please. And the next slide should be talking about alignment with the DON mission, naval relevance. White papers should show alignment with the DON mission and may include, as it says here, partnerships with naval communities when feasible, connections with local communities, that there's a clear addressing of the Department of Navy need for the effort, and the effort can be described as occurring and happening in targeted communities, such as secondary education communities, post-secondary education communities, informal science communities, things like museums and activities that happen outside of a formal setting, and with regard to the current naval STEM workforce. Those are targeted communities of interest to this FOA and the things that could be coming forward in your white papers. Address the Naval Research and Development Framework and Addendum. That's one of these things that should be aligned with. And there's a list there of things like augmented warfighter, integrated and distributed, and all the things you can see listed here. You can sort of think of these as the endpoints. You can think of these as what Navy needs to get accomplished mission and make discoveries. People who have capabilities to assist, help, enable Navy, have augmented warfighters, what are the skills and capabilities needed to do that? Similarly, the other things listed there, what kinds of skills and capabilities do people need for operational endurance? And you can think of it as sort of like reverse engineering. You know, what you want to do should be able to be understood as providing the inspiration and education and connection to these kinds of things somewhere in the future as the result of your effort and your intervention. So your particular effort would be looking at an educational intervention, say, and what's going to come out of that would be people who have skills and capabilities to do things like help Navy in augmented warfighter considerations, or enable Navy to have greater operational endurance. So you can think of these things in the framework and addendum as, again, endpoints toward which your effort, your intervention, would be causing people to have the skills and capabilities to do these things. And again, at the bottom there, be specific as to how your program aligns with the DON mission so that it becomes clear that it's not just a good academic idea, but that it's a good idea that will help Navy accomplish its mission and successfully. Okay, we will continue on here then with the next slide, which should be about naval partnerships, that when possible, applicants should partner, it's highly encouraged that applicants partner with naval STEM stakeholder organizations, what we'll sometimes call NSSOs, naval STEM stakeholder organizations. Highly encouraged when possible, not required. Partnerships may help show that what you want to do does in fact fit naval relevance, that what you want to do truly will help Navy accomplish mission. That kind of statement from an NSSO is valuable. And think of NSSOs as communities within which there are naval scientists, engineers, naval families, people who might be current science engineers, who might be parents of students or may have had students in the past, people out there on the ground, on ships, wherever Navy is, doing the things that Navy does on a day in, day out basis. So the NSSOs, those communities, are where the localized community education outreach efforts occur. And this is in compliance with the provision within the Secretary of the Navy Instruction 3900.45A that causes all of this to be. Now you have the option to partner when that's in the best interest to the Department of Navy. So again, it talks about how what you want to do is understood by some person within an NSSO as being useful to the Department of Navy, but that kind of partnership with a naval STEM stakeholder organization is not required. Now, white papers, if applicable, should identify potential naval partners. Points of contact would be a way to identify that naval partner, and describe how you will go about identifying and arranging partnerships. So the white paper, again, is short, so you don't have a lot of space to get into how you'll be doing this in particular, but in the white paper, it should briefly describe how you will go about identifying and arranging partnerships. So this is the slide on naval partnerships. Let's go to the next slide, please, which has to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity, equity, and inclusion should be a consideration in programs that you propose. Again, DEI is one of 4 equally weighted criteria, evaluation criteria. It should include outreach to and inclusion of underrepresented individuals. It should aim to develop programs that mirror the demographics of local communities and or reflect the results of the US Census. It will be weighted, again, DEI will be weighted equally to the other criteria listed in the FOA. Now, what's underrepresented student mean? Here's a list that is inclusive, and included in underrepresented is military connected, low income, racial and ethnic minorities historically underrepresented in STEM. So Alaskan Natives, Native Americans, African Americans, Latinx, Hawaii, and Pacific Islander Natives, those would be examples of the racial and ethnic minorities historically underrepresented in STEM. In certain STEM fields, females are underrepresented. Students with disabilities, students with English as a non-primary language, they certainly would be considered underrepresented in STEM. First-generation college students and students in rural, frontier, or other federal targeted outreach areas and schools, those would also be considered underrepresented students in STEM. So those would be some of the kinds of people who would be considered underrepresented in this particular funding opportunity. And again, there should be some idea, some statement in there as to if you're going to be targeting, that you have targeted these underrepresented. White paper should include diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts as part of the technical approach and justification. So that's where in the white paper you would talk about DEI. Okay, next slide, please. Which should be about evaluating white papers and proposals, the process by which those evaluations happen. White papers are evaluated by naval STEM experts across the Department of Navy. So for this FOA, which is Department of Navy, the interests do go all the way across all of the Department of Navy. To use the criteria that are outlined in this funding opportunity announcement is very much important, and that's going to be evaluated. And in evaluation, we do not compare one white paper against another. We do not have criteria there to do that. we do judge each white paper separately according to the criteria within this funding opportunity announcement, and each white paper is evaluated independently, standing or not standing on its own. If invited, we will ask for a proposal. Based on feedback and recommendations from the evaluators, there will be sent out from the Naval STEM Coordination Office. We sometimes call that NSCO, Naval STEM Coordination Office, 13th of August, 2021. And that invitation is going to be to submit a proposal based upon review and acceptance of the white paper. NSCO will provide feedback upon written request for both invited and non-invited white papers. So again, upon written request, whether you're invited or not to submit a proposal, if you want to know more about it, let us know and we will be back in touch. Down the right side there, graphically presenting what is shown in text on the left, the 28th of May is the deadline for submitting white papers. That'll be a Friday, 20th of May. Department of Navy will process and evaluate all of what we receive, and we'll have invitations for proposals by the 13th of August, and that's again a Friday. So this is the invitation process, evaluation invitation process. Let's go to the next slide, please, which is the important white paper dates. 26th of May, a Wednesday, questions and inquiries. That's the deadline for those. Friday, the 28th of May, that's the deadline for white paper submission to FedConnect. So you must submit a cover page, and the cover page must have the information shown here, that the PO, program officer, would be me. Program officer email must be that. And the late submissions will not be accepted. The 4th of June, Friday, applicants will receive submission receipt from NSCO. The 9th of June is when inquiries can be submitted. If you have not received a receipt of your white paper submissions from NSCO, please submit an inquiry by the date of 9th of June. And 13th of August, decision notification from the Naval STEM Coordination Office. So those are important dates in the white paper process. Okay, next slide, please, which is important websites. So if you want to pursue these things and get more information about what federal grants are about, that's the first entry there. To learn more about Department of Navy in general, that's the address for that. To learn more about the Office of Naval Research, address is shown there. To learn about Naval STEM, you can go to that address. Similarly, the Naval R&D framework can be found at the address given there. And again, that's the endpoints that we're trying to get people with capabilities to do for Navy. And ONR funding opportunities, you can learn more about those by going to those two locations. One is within ONR, the other is at grants.gov. And FedConnect to learn about that and how to work with FedConnect in submitting your white paper. ONR, how to submit, cover page, all that. That information is shown there at that address. And proposal submissions, grants.gov at that address. If you have questions and want to contact us, that address is shown there, don_STEM_grants@navy.mil. And this again is a unique address for this particular funding opportunity. So if we can go to the next slide, which is just saying that we're now entering the question and answer section of this webinar. Again, we did get questions before this webinar started, and we've compiled those questions into questions that we'll hear now with the answers. So if we can start with question 1, please.
Yes, so question or comment 1 is, I would like to know the goals and learning outcomes for this project.
Right. So the slide that we talked about the framework and addendum as being endpoints for what these efforts should be about, that your effort, your educational pathway, your intervention is going to produce people who have the capabilities to do the things within that framework and that addendum. So again, if you think about the things that Navy needs, what kinds of capabilities and skills to solve problems and make discoveries, and that what you'll want to do is going to inspire, educate, train, connect, re-inspire people so that they will get the education and training that you want to do, so that they have the capabilities and skills to be the people who can do the things that are listed in the framework and addendum. Yeah. So the goals and learning outcomes are really measured in those real sorts of terms that you can say what it is you want to do. And here is what you understand Navy needs by way of skills and capabilities, and that your goals are to, again, inspire, educate, re-inspire, keep training people, get them delivered to those actual Navy needs, workforce needs. And that's the kind of thing that would be a goal that your efforts should have, and that should be a kind of outcome that is being learned by people going through your program. So that's question one. And then question two.
Question 2 is, we are in conversations with the U.S. Navy Research Laboratory, NRL. Would NRL be considered a qualifying Navy partner for collaboration under this program if we are funded?
Yes, the answer to that one is yes. And Naval Research Lab does fit the requirements to be a naval partner. And so that one is a yes. Question 3 and 4.
Yes. So question 3 is, we've worked with the Junior Science and Humanities Symposia, JSHS program in the past. Would the JSHS be considered a qualifying military connected collaboration partner? And then question 4 is, we are thinking about reaching out to cybersecurity companies to serve as guest speakers, subject matter experts. Would including a collaboration with cybersecurity companies in our proposal be allowed?
Great, thank you for asking the questions, Marla. Within this funding opportunity, our naval partners, we've talked a little bit about that, and NRL was given as one example in the previous answer as a naval partner. Beyond naval partners, the FOA does talk about community partners. And community partners are, again, as you state, as you envision who you are in the community you're in. With virtualization, that community can be very big and can be very trans timelines, if you will. But whatever community you see yourself as being a vital part of, and within that community, that vital community that you are part of, could be things like the Junior Science and Humanities Symposium and the kinds of things that JSHS does. Within your community, as you portray it and understand it, could also be private sector companies, again, for-profit or nonprofit. All of these can be considered community partners with whom you could be partnering, again, as part of a community solution to the challenge to come up with ways to produce people, inspire people, educate them, train them, and connect them with Navy work, so that, again, we can help Navy accomplish mission and make discoveries. So yeah, JSHS, private sector companies definitely could be portrayed as community partners, and that's something that can be done. Next question, please.
So question 5 is the last question. How can we leverage these opportunities to support underserved communities on the south side of Chicago? I just recently joined the Chicago Quantum Exchange. However, I was faculty at Chicago State University and minority serving institution, MSI, and predominantly Black institution, PBI. And I am personally from the South Side. I'm looking to continue in my mission to provide a pathway into QISC for my students and community. Thank you so very much.
Thank you again for asking the question. And actually, this is one of the kinds of questions that really inspire me because it does really get at a fundamental issue, and that is how do we get to advance the status of people who are currently in underserved communities, whether it be Chicago or any other place? Let me generalize it to get the point across, and that is, as you think about what you want to do, show that you have been thinking about the causes of this underserved or underrepresented situation. Why is it that whatever the community is, whether it be South or West Chicago, or certain parts of the Hawaiian Islands, or certain parts in the middle of the country, why do those underserved and underrepresented communities exist? What's causing people of greater diversity to not be in the active group of people, either as students or as workers? And why are these places existing? What are the obstacles there to getting people more participating in the coming up with solutions and discoveries for Navy? Sometimes the obstacles to overcome have to do with culture. Certainly there are parts of the United States and beyond where the thing that's in the way, the obstacle, is that, let's say with younger students, they don't have the models. They don't have the people that they can see and understand that they could be solving these problems for Navy. They just don't have those models, and it could be a cultural thing that they just don't have access to the kinds of people who would be those sorts of role models. Sometimes, depending upon where you are, it could be a technological problem. They don't have bandwidth. They don't have equipment. They don't have the kinds of technology things that would help them become active participants in the STEM efforts that you envision. So if you can show what thinking you have about the obstacles, the problems as they exist in the communities you want to work in and with, and that what you want to do is part of the solution to getting people of greater diversity better represented in the solution set and the set of people solving the problems and making discoveries for Navy. So it really is something that, again, you have the opportunity to shine in what you want to do and to convince all of the evaluators here that what you want to do is something Navy needs, and that what you want to do is going to, in fact, increase the diversity, equity, and inclusion of people in those communities, again, to help Navy solve its problems. So the underrepresented, the underserved are there because of some reasons. And if you can enunciate as you understand it, either by having been there yourself or by being an active worker in those areas or any other truthful way, and that what you want to do is a way to get at solving those problems, overcoming those obstacles, and getting those people inspired, educated, trained, re-inspired, because we know it's going to be a long haul, and connected to what Navy needs to do. That would be an exciting white paper, and then hopefully proposal, and hopefully grant. Okay. Are there questions that have come in while we've been on this webinar?
You've been super popular this time. You've got 20 questions. So
Oh,
I think some of these you might have answered, but just in case people came late, we can go through them. So, is there a
all right.
good sure thing. So first question is there a good way to make connections to Navy partners so someone is in a state without any kind of naval presence?
Yes, yes. Two parts to the answer. The first part is that increasingly, as we've learned from our COVID experience, we don't need physical connection necessarily. And so definitely thinking virtual and how to make the connections virtually is a very valuable thing. the other part of the answer is yes, please be in touch with us, because that's part of our responsibility, is to get the best, most useful, the optimal connections of naval STEM stakeholder organizations and the people who are in those communities doing their work for Navy, to get the optimal connections to you and what you want to do. So definitely be in touch with us, and we will do that kind of connecting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is, can you please discuss in more detail what naval relevance means to the Department of the Navy?
Yeah, if you look at number one, the framework and addendum, in literal categories, they talk about things that fairly broadly Navy needs. But even more broadly than that, if you do the research as to what Navy has done and the kinds of challenges that Navy faces going forward, including great power competitions and that sort of thing, Navy is interested in everything from ocean bottoms through the water column to surface water to land surface through the air column and into space. There's Navy activity in all of those physical areas, and the kinds of things that we need done in all of those spaces are the kinds of things that Navy needs answers to. The questions that, to operate in those areas, to keep our people safe, to make the advances that we need. It's a very broad mission. And so what comes out as the best thing to do in thinking about the broad range of deep problems that Navy has and challenges that we all have in Navy is to come up with as specific a way to answer the question for what you want to do and the communities that you want to work in. So again, think about where you want to do your work and the kinds of things that you're trying to pull off. Be in touch with us to come up with naval STEM stakeholder organizations that would be most optimally connected to what you want to do. And then we can make as specific as possible the benefit to the Navy. So again, it's not just a great academic exercise, but that it actually is going to be benefiting some naval STEM stakeholder organizations, some particular efforts in some part of Navy. And that again would be something that really depends upon what it is you see yourself doing, if that helps.
Thank you. And if you guys need more clarification too, you can just drop it in the chat too. So next question is the technical component a technical approach to STEM education? So I can't even say this word because I am smart, but not that smart. Pedagogically, Pedagogicl. That's an interesting word. I have no idea what it means. So
Pedagogical?
yes, pedagogic. What did you say?
Pedagogical? I'm waiting for the
Pedagogical.
question.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
is the technical component a technical approach to STEM education or a technical scientific component of the educational material?
Yes. And here's what I mean. Those separations are, generally speaking, let me put it the other way around. The best approach to coming up with an answer is to say again what the big problem is or the big problems are that you're trying to solve. And so there will be a certain pedagogy that will be necessary or that would be optimal to have in order to, again, accomplish the education component. But then there is also usually some kind of technical component to it. And so that should be in there, technical/technology component. And to the extent that you understand what it is you want to do in relation to what you understand Navy needs, the solution set would probably best not be in any one thing. It probably would be best by having an integrated approach of different pieces that would have pedagogical validity, would also have technical and technological possibility, feasibility, and of course, it would also have the human component so that the human outreach and education and training connected with the technical and technological, as well as with the pedagogy, all of those things all point to the same direction that you would be going for. And that's to say, we understand this problem, we understand this challenge, we understand Navy needs solutions and answers to these problems, and here's how we propose getting people to come up with the solutions and answers. And it's going to have a pedagogy component to it, it's going to have technological component, and it's going to have a people component. And that kind of integrated solution would probably be a very powerful statement.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Just having some fun in the chat saying I barely passed the SAT verbal back in the day. Are these projects more research oriented or could these projects turn into for-profit services after the 3-year grant period?
Oh, they can certainly turn into for-profit. That's certainly, there's no prohibition to that. And in terms of research, it's research again of a focus type. And so as you again think of what Navy needs, and as you see the kinds of skills and capabilities that are laid out in the framework and addendum, and that the kinds of things that you want to do, inspiring, training, educating people to have those skills and abilities, and delivering them to help Navy do what it needs to do. All of those things can be done, but in a focused sort of research way. So we wouldn't necessarily be looking at big, broad education research type questions, like how do you get people to choose STEM in the first place? That would be a little too broad, a little unfocused for this particular opportunity. But as the opportunity states, to show that it's directly relevant to naval need. And specifically, as you think about it, relevant enough to make the argument that Navy should invest in this. Because if it's of a broad education benefit, there are lots of organizations out there that would be interested. Many of them do that kind of funding. But for us in this opportunity, we're very interested, overpoweringly interested in approaches that show direct, specific benefit to Navy, again, to the point of Navy investing in it. If that makes any sense. Do we have another question?
Yes, yes. If someone is proposing to set up an education program at their university, can they use funds from the ONR program to fund scholarships for students enrolled in the program?
Think about how it's put together, and again, whether how basically again the story is told as to how those scholarships will be used. There is a general understanding that this opportunity does not want something to be over 50% in one particular effort, meaning one particular direction, meaning that we are not looking for 100% pass through in scholarships. You know, that's not the kind of thing that this opportunity is for. And to have it so that it's clear that what scholarships or anything else are and how that integrates again with the total solution that you're proposing would be the story to be told.
Thank you. So someone asked, can they contact you for assistance when identifying naval partners before they have completely written the white paper?
Yes, and of course it isn't just me, but we have a team of people here, and we definitely are interested in working with you, again, to make sure that the connections that are made, even the suggestions for connections, are the optimal ones. So yes, please be in touch.
Okay. Is there a must to add a Biblio reference in the white paper?
Biblio reference? No, that is not a requirement in the FOA. That is something that, certainly on the white paper, that, I'm sorry, on the white paper, which is very short, there is not that requirement. The things that are required are laid out in the funding opportunity announcement, and we reviewed them briefly in this webinar. If invited to submit a proposal, in the proposal that could be something that, again, it might be useful to have that kind of information, but it's not a requirement on the white paper, no. I'm getting a comment here that there are no amendments to the current FOA that we're talking about. And the due date for white papers is the 28th of May.
Hi,
So
Michael.
the
Yes,
due date for white.
it's Marielle.
Uh-huh.
I'm getting a lot of questions about amendments and asking why the number on the slides for May 28th doesn't match with June 7th. I think a lot of people are looking at the wrong FOA, maybe from past years. For this one, there is no amendment, and that's all I was just answering those questions. Sorry.
Right, right. And again, it is this particular funding opportunity announcement that's N00014-21-S.F004. So it's this particular funding opportunity that we've been talking about. And yeah, those the requirements that are in there are what we've been talking about. So the 28th of May is the due date for white papers in that particular funding opportunity announcement. Other questions?
Yep. What kind of funds can oh, it looks like as someone said, and this question was earlier, can they use funds to pay for students' tuition fees for research credits? Okay, I think the last one was a scholarship. This one says to outright pay their funds. Is that the same?
It could be, again, depending upon how the structure is that is proposed. And that would be something that, again, we can talk about in detail if you wish. But yeah, that would be the general guidance, again, with no one particular thing being, more than 50% of the effort.
Okay. Can an employee on a contract submit a project?
Can an employee on a contract submit a white paper?
Yeah, or a project, because it might be somebody who's already on a Navy contract, maybe.
That could be. There's no prohibition on being on some other work for Navy, but as part of the disclosure, there would need to be a clear statement as to what would be done under this particular funding, if awarded, versus the other work that might be in progress or done in the past. So you just want to make sure that there's no grant fraud and that there isn't double funding for the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
This, again, is a funding opportunity announcement. So within our definitions, that means that this is grant work. Broad agency announcements and BAAs are the platform for going after contracts. So this particular FOA means this is a grant opportunity, not contracts. And there isn't any prohibition at the start of who can apply.
Okay, thank you. Is there a list of previously approved projects in this domain?
A list of, I'm sorry.
Of previously approved projects in this domain?
We do have abstracts from previously funded grants. That's available in the ONR website. We can get you the details about that. Those abstracts are publicly released, publicly available, so you can get the particular abstracts that way.
Okay. Can specific companies be a part of the partnerships in the white paper to provide subject matter experts or mentors for the STEM subject areas? And if so, can like a small amount of the funding be in the proposal for their modest compensation?
Yeah. For-profits, nonprofits can certainly be, again, community partners and can be woven right into a particular white paper and effort. And how ultimately this would be built and laid out would be the subject more of the invited proposal if there's one. But even on the white paper, there could be an indication as to what the plan is and why it's needed to do things this way. And that would be part of the metrics of evaluation too, that doing it this way with this kind of program management makes sense. That's what you're trying to convince the evaluators about, and that there would be proper protections to make sure that, again, the metrics and evaluation are in fact the best way to account for what happened to the DON investments.
Okay. Someone said if they're to submit a full proposal, to what extent are they held to the rough order of magnitude cost estimation that they provided in the white paper?
There should be a reasonable connection between the two. If there is a hugely variant number in the proposal, then it would seem like the white paper was with insufficient knowledge of the task. And that could be up or down. You know, it could be in the proposal a number that's vastly bigger or smaller than what was in the ROM and the white paper. There could be, you know, a follow-on question perhaps, just to clarify that, you know, you really did mean this. But yeah, again, hopefully the ROM will be in fact close to what would be presented within the full-blown proposal if the proposal was invited.
All right.
There's a question here, the link for the ONR award database. The ONR website, if somebody can provide that has the abstracts, that's what I was referring to on that.
Yes, we're working on it, Michael. We will
Very
drop.
good, thank you. Thanks. Other questions?
Okay. Yes. Will undergraduate institutions have equal opportunity for this funding announcement, so like compared with graduate institutions?
Everything is equivalent in terms of education level. Everybody is on some stage of education and experience, and the idea of what it is that you might want to do as being what you will best connect with the kinds of people that you want to educate and connect to Navy to solve its problems and make discoveries is really how you present that story. And so the person could be in the current workforce, and what you want to do is to improve the skills of people in the current workforce. It could be veterans, it could be spouses of veterans, it could be people in younger grades. Whatever it is that you're trying to do, showing that you've looked at the framework and the addendum, see the skills that are needed as suggested by those things, and that what you want to do is intervene in the education and development of people at some grade or experience level, and that what you're doing is going to, again, in the end, help ensure the supply of people with the capabilities that Navy needs. So now there's no particular bias toward a particular grade or age or anything like that. There is a focus on people who are workforce age. There is great interest in that, of course. But those people came from someplace. And so again, especially in certain underserved, underrepresented communities, the inspiration probably needs to come at an earlier age and a lower grade, and to keep inspiring and educating them so that they stay with it over the long term and become viable employees or contributors to, again, the DON and DON connected workforce. That certainly would be a good thing.
Thank you. So question. So can a proposal target a span of high school students and college students? So like college freshmen, sophomores, and then, you know, maybe seniors in high school, or do they have to concentrate on just one age group?
There is no requirement to concentrate on any one age group or any particular grade either. Again, two things. One is this money really is to be considered, you know, an innovation fund, a venture capital fund, some kind of demo fund system, not sustaining. However, within what you want to do, if you can show that you've got an idea that's going to succeed in the 3 years, and that what you want to do is a really important thing, it's going to take more than 3 years to do. But here's where what we can do is provide you with the funds, seed money, if you will, something like that, for 3 years. And that in your capability statement, you can show how you're going to sustain the effort beyond the 3 years of our funding. And so if it goes across many years to inspire somebody at a younger grade and keep educating and inspiring them through all the grades till they get their PhD or something like that, that certainly is, you know, but we're looking for the first success, so that building upon that for success would be the important point, if that makes sense.
Thank you. So someone said, are there any exchange opportunities within ONR and Don, excuse me, and Don STEM programs for look, I will start over because you guys are working me today. All these questions, I love it. Keep them coming. Are there any exchange opportunities within ONR and the Don STEM programs for performers to summarize their projects, share best practices, and build collaboration networks?
That really sounds good. and just within our Naval STEM Coordination Office activities, that is one of the things we do, with people directly connected with DON efforts, and we try to make those kinds of connections outside as well. Certainly, we work closely with DoD STEM. We work at STEM efforts, not just within DoD, but outside as well, like Department of Commerce, NOAA has a very strong STEM program, as well as, of course, NASA and other parts of the federal government. Then outside of that, there are all of the non-federal and non-governmental efforts, education research associations, organizations that are looking at education and how to improve that. There are also organizations that look at non-credentialed education and training. So we try to connect as much as we can, because ultimately, again, the diverse innovative solutions are going to come from people who are in more than one place and are looking at more than one grade level, more than one approach. And so, yeah, we try to connect and make those kinds of connections for you. That's part of the job of the Naval STEM Coordination Office.
Thank you so much. So someone asked, can they train undergraduate and graduate marine engineering students in research areas relevant to the Navy? I'm thinking yes, but I'll let you answer.
You're thinking right. Yes, and absolutely. Again, especially as Navy has to evolve with the evolving threats that are out there, has to evolve with the changing environment that's out there. The solutions to naval challenges are always evolving. And so the solutions also need to evolve. So yeah, absolutely. Going across and integrating what you want to do to solve problems, not just today, but also going forward. As the poles change, for example, or as different diseases take hold, or as natural disasters happen. These are all things that, again, cause Navy to have slightly different demands placed on it. And we need to supply solutions to those demands. So yeah, always changing. And that's one of the things, again, we would hope to connect with you all.
Awesome. Just a couple more. Well, a few
Okay.
more. What kind of impact are you looking for in terms of like numbers as far as students, learners, et cetera? Because 200K may not go a long way in terms of creating a large impact per year.
Yes, right. There is no set number on any of this. We are described looking for successes on a scale that you can start with, and with the story indicating that with the success based upon what we can put in the time frame that we can put in under a grant, under this opportunity, that with success in this particular effort, there could be a larger effort, a larger success that can grow from what was done in this particular effort, from this particular investment. So the idea of what needs to be done sustaining the particular effort beyond our 3 years, that's part of it. The other is the idea of partnerships. So again, it isn't any one place or any one effort that can contribute to doing this and then benefiting from it. So we talked about private sector, both for-profit and non-profit. We talked about academia. Having partnerships among even those participants could be a way to, again, change the funding picture and the funding stream so that ultimately the initial success, maybe from the DON money, could be scaled and grown beyond the initial successes based upon the potentially 600K from this particular opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. What type of check-ins or reviews with the Don can they expect looking ahead to participating in this opportunity? Are there like data reports or some data reports as submissions? And is there support or a point of contact assigned once awards have been granted?
Yes, there are data requirements, data call requirements that are specified in the funding opportunity announcement. Nothing extraordinary. It's fairly standard language and requirements for federal government grants. And yes, definitely staying in touch with, for example, Dr. Yelma, our grant specialist, Marla, our communication specialist, all of us are always there to try to make sure that, again, you have the best connections and that we can all benefit the most from a particular effort.
Okay. Along similar lines of paying students, can students' salaries who are being co-opted or interned at a Navy site under the proposed program be paid for by the grant, or at least in part?
Yeah, we cannot get money to a federal entity through this opportunity, not directly. And so again, there, depending upon how you want to do what you want to do, we can explore ways of, you know, seeing how that could be how that could happen. Certainly, education co-ops have been something that the private sector has had great success with because they recognize the benefit to investing in the education and training of people that they will, fairly soon hire. And so that kind of education co-op is something that has been a model out there for quite some time. We can talk with you as to how you envision potentially using something like that in conjunction with what you want to do, so that we can get the funds to the not federal entity, and you can work out, maybe getting other entities to be part of it. Uh, Possibly we can explore looking into other federal entities as well that might be somehow brought in to help.
Thank you, thank you. And so just three more questions. You guys have been great today. Love. Once you guys get all the information you need to be able to apply, and I think this question's already answered, but it just is restated. Is there an underlying assumption of how many students this should be? Because in stream cases, it'd be ridiculous to request 100,000 per year if the reach was like one or two students, versus on the other hand, 100 students only requesting $1 per year. I guess it'd be $10. Is there a target number? But I
Yeah,
guess it's not any a target. It's not target.
there certainly is not a target. There certainly would be an understanding as we go through each particular white paper individually, not in comparison to others. But as we go through the white paper, if it shows that there is, again, there's been thought about this, and there actually is within the ROM some kind of reasonable justification for why it's going to cost whatever it's going to cost per student. There's the recognition, of course, that generally speaking, um, higher grade efforts, like if you're going to be producing a PhD, generally per student, that's going to cost more than if you're working with a lot of students at a lower grade. That's generally understood. So again, it needs to be reasonable, as be an inspiring story as to what you want to do and how much it's going to cost. But no, there is no threshold of dollars per student, and anything more than that is too much, or anything less than that shows you don't understand. There's no threshold like that.
Okay. So another funding question about paying for, is it a stipend? Um, could some of the money be used to provide a modest level of funding or a stipend for their participation? So, or how about a stipend, $200 for their participation, or a stipend of 1,000 if we recruit college students to serve as technical assistants?
Again, that could be part of the statement that's made in the white paper as to how all this fits together, how you would measure the impact of all of this, and that it does in fact result in getting people that we need. So again, it's that story of, are you producing people with the skills that we need, and is it being done in a technically sound way? So there's no particular answer to this. That applies to everything.
Okay. And last two, what does it mean to partner with the NSSO? Is there something formal or can it just be informal, such as working on them with a direct program?
If one claims a formal relationship in the form of a naval partnership, yeah, the funding opportunity announcement does include a statement as to what that actually means in detail. If one were to claim that, again, it's not necessary, but if one were to claim a naval partnership, the specifications of what that means are in the FOA. And so that's where one would get the specific requirements for saying that you have a real bona fide naval partnership. Outside of that, conversations with people, whether they're in Navy or not, are not the same kind of thing. And so those are not under any kind of requirements. And similarly with community partnerships, those are not under the requirements for claiming a naval partnership.
Okay, and have one last one for the home stretch. Will the organization that implements this be able to use the insignias or logos of the Navy Marines as part of their marketing brand or image?
We do have rules for use of the ONR logo, for example, and all that. And yeah, we can certainly provide that kind of information as to what's permitted and even what quality the image needs to be. There are guidelines that we have about that. So yeah, we can certainly follow up on that if anybody wanted to. Our communication specialist, for example, has been working quite a bit on use of logo and again, quality of logo and that sort of thing. So yeah, there are answers to that depending upon, again, where the logo is going to be used and for what purpose.
Man, Michael, I don't know what you did this time. This might have been your best presentation yet, or your worst because there were so many questions. No, I'm kidding. Engagement by questions is always amazing. So people were actually listening to what you're saying. That's great. Thank you guys. That's all the questions. If there's any last minute rounders, we'll take them. I always love messing with Dr. Simpson here. Amazing, amazing gentleman. Thank you for sharing this information with all of our ONR FOA fans. That's what I'm gonna call you guys, ONR FOA fans. If you have questions in the chat, drop them to Don_STEM_grants, and you spell STEM STEM for people on a second grade reading level like myself today. Yeah, at Navy.mil before May 26th. Apply, get those white papers out there. And Dr. Simpson, I'll let you have the last few words.
Just want to again thank all of you, the home team here for pulling this together and actually staging it and having it come off, and everyone out there for your interest. And we're definitely looking forward to working with you to accomplish again what we're trying to do, which is have people with the right skills help Navy accomplish mission and make discoveries. So thank you all.
All right, thank you everybody and good luck.
Right, all the best.